everyone, and welcome back to She Plays the Podcast. I am excited to be joined by Amir Zonozi today, who is the president and co-founder of Zoomph, doing amazing things in the sports world that I can't wait to get into. But Amir, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Ashley. I've been excited to jump onto this one. Really nerd out about what you're building over there at Cheap Plays, and great to always just catch up with you and talk about the future of making money with women's sports.
There you go. I love this. Oh man, pump up. Yes, let's go. So yeah, real quick, because I also love what you're doing. Zoomph, tell us a little bit about what Zoomph is building and what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, so we're media math nerds. We basically look at the content that's coming out from teams, leagues, athletes, and we help brands understand what the value of that exposure is. So if you're Discover with from your hockey federation and the work that you're doing with them, what value is that back to the brand? And so we help tell that story. We help tell the story of who are in these fan segments, and so, Amir with his three boys pushing 40 was very different than Amir at 25 with his boys at the game, right? So, we try to segment these different fan groups so that, and they all roll their eyes when I say this, but niches get riches, right? If you can talk to niche pocket groups of your fans, because, we might all fan for, Angel City FC, but there's so many different reasons why we connect to that team. And we try to tell that story as well. So, we've been very lucky to work with a lot of great properties and brands in women's sports, and it's a no-brainer. It is the biggest opportunity for business right now in sports, and you're an idiot if you don't see it. I mean, the numbers just keep going up. So we're here not for charity, not for token. We're here to make money, and we see the future with women's sports and what's possible. And that's led our paths together and some of the things that we fan about and have met across Twitter on. So excited to talk more with you about this because you're playing such a critical role helping that fandom connect itself. Because women's sports is digital, but it's if you're not at the event, it feels, the community aspect has all been through social and digital communication, right? Like, am I, I don't know if I'm overthinking it, but
Yeah, no, I think
and
you're
I
right.
just feel like you're bringing people together about the game. It's like it's really cool.
I appreciate that. You're right. I mean, women's sports on Twitter is unreal. Women's soccer especially. Yeah, people will find each other when they aren't given opportunities to meet together. Or, fans that are in Europe but watching, some of their favorite players in the US want to connect, but they can't be at the game. So, yeah, it is a unique niche, I guess. It's growing out of maybe more niche, I guess, although different sports could be niche sports. But yeah, it's a unique way of approaching sports and community. So thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, just even listeners who are listening now can tell that there's something genuine and authentic about your passion here, because you've already dropped some league names and some team names. You know what you're talking about. And the investment that you've put into women's sports too, the brand aspect and what brands can really get out of this is it's important for them to know and move forward, right? So they'll put more money in. And I love that you mentioned the storytelling aspect of it, that you're able to look at numbers but tell a story. What have been some of the things that, or have there been a couple things lately that you've seen and you're like, ah, man, that was just like awesome. Like this was a really cool story that you all got to tell.
That's a really great question. And one thing back to that, just the communal nature of women's sports and the fandom is I've noticed a lot of selfies of people meeting in IRL the first time. And that's another like sort of like evidence of the fact that it's like such a digital community around women's sports that they know one another, and it's like, oh, I know that profile photo, like that's
Right.
so and so. And so and you see these influencers, like I know what energy, who that's from now just because of everything that she's done for the sport, both for WNA. But anyways, that digital, the data that's there, the what they're able to do with that information. What we've learned is women's sports fans are different than what you would find with men's sports fans. They support the system very similar to esports, where they know it's helping the ecosystem and they support back with their purchase, right? And so There's really great people doing data in that space too with Sports Innovation Lab. They look at like purchasing kind of, and so there's interesting ways that you can look at that. On our side, we're on the performance of the content and the media that comes out. And so it's like one is Angel City and just like their ability to grow fandom across different areas outside of their local place of business, right? LA. And so I don't know why I said that in such a weird way, but like LA is just like the community and what they've done there from DoorDash and integrating in restaurants and bakeries owned by women in the LA community. Like it's just they weave in these authentic relationships in very interesting ways. And that story has an impact not just within the LA community, but fans globally. And they represent something a little bit bigger than just a women's LA soccer team that's professional. It's a also the flag of women's sports in some sort of way. One thing that they do very fascinating is like they look at the media value and even assess like their owners and understand the impact that every time Alexis Ohanian tweets about them or Natalie Portman and it very exciting with HBO Max and showcasing the content that they're creating together. And so like it's just been fascinating to sort of see NWSL and their growth and the savviness around the media content that they've been doing and how their fan engagement rate was actually surpassing a lot of the men's leagues. And of course, engagement rate is to equalize it, right? The size and reach is completely different, but just the fidelity and intensity of the fandom is, as a nerd looking at it, it's so cool to see. And so yeah, so that is, and then the other thing is like female athletes and their media value and their fans. We were very lucky to put a report together, and we purposely wanted to push some buttons. We put it on Sports Pro. We worked with like Greenfly, and we're like, we're not going to do number one Instagram follower audience stuff. So sorry, Christian and Ronaldo, like you're going to have to take a back seat, right? And so we had Naomi Osaka and Simone Biles. This was right after, the mental health break that Naomi took and the Olympics with Simone Biles. We ranked them as 1 and 2, right? And so that got a lot of people talking. And what we were saying is like, look, the way we looked at this differently was we looked at the fans that they had and we looked at which fan group has the most purchasing power. It's women, right? So we filtered men out of the followership and we ranked it based off women. And then we also added in Gen Z and some of the other brand audiences that they're trying to reach. And so it's like if you're trying to move product, these are the best people, but they have the fan engagement rates to kind of prove that the engagement, the followership. It's their, they're an athlete and they're excellent communicators and brand innovators. But so those are some of the top two, but just also looking at them performing against other men's established leagues, like we tried to average out like Angel Cities again, because and saw like over like one over 1,000 fans in that they go toe to toe with the Cowboys, and like if we try to equal out their followership, so it's just
Wow.
it's fascinating to kind of see all that together and kind of tell those different data stories, but we're constantly pumping out metrics on each one of those leagues. And shout out to Premier Hockey Federation. They were NWHL at the time. We were doing a women's sports report and one person on their team was like, how are you going to talk about women's sports and not put hockey in there? And so by include that conversation is how we started working together with them. But it's there. You're seeing the viewership go up everywhere, and attendance go up everywhere. And sorry, I feel like I've been talking for 15 minutes straight
Oh,
to things that you already know.
I love
But
it.
like I get, it's so cool to see. Yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, I love too the idea you had of, because yeah, women are 80% of the purchases, like right in the US. I don't know if that number's still like, if it might even be more, but to just look at that demographic and see and rank people, it's fascinating to me. I love it. I think that that's so smart, and I think that's something that yeah, people are, I mean, Alexis Ohanian especially like shouts it from the rooftop that like this fan base is loyal. This fan base will reward you, for coming into this space and investing in their leagues and teams. I was just talking with
And
someone else this morning about a new NWSL franchise and how are they going to roll it out, and how do you do that after Angel City and not follow their model. Their model is just so cool and impactful, right? I love hearing
Mhm.
all the things you were sharing.
Yeah, I mean, they've really found a way, and honestly, like the best brands right now are moving ways to show impact in the community because it's the way we look at sports is sports is not the product, it's the platform, and the experiences that you can create off this platform are what the products are. And it's clear, like after the pandemic, the focus is on what are you doing for a community? And the Gen Z audience is very like, where are your receipts? You cannot just talk and not show up with receipts. And so, whether it's authentic or not that the brand is getting involved, they've got to show a receipt. And so, that is what they're doing is they're just weaving it masterfully, and they've picked partners. And I'm sure they say no to a lot of people because it might not fit the formula that they have, but that's the exciting thing. They came at this in a new way. They remind me more of a startup tech company than a women's soccer team. But someone else is going to come and think of another creative way to really upend this. And I that's what's great about this is like there's we're watching something. You can't compare women's sports today to where men's sports is today because they're on a different trajectory on their timeline of growth, and the rate at how quickly women's sports is growing through digital is just fascinating to watch in itself because it completely, if you looked at it side to side, it's like women's sports is actually growing faster as a result of where it is today in comparison. But yeah, so it's definitely, and Angel City and their model, new teams that are coming on. The other thing is these new media companies, just women's sports together, what Wasserman is doing with the collective by bringing more bands in. Like the media is changing too, and I that's exciting because there's places for fans to fan openly and engage one another and read content that doesn't feel like it's just a throwaway article to fill a checkbox. It actually gets you excited. And so like that, though, I think there's more opportunities, an entire ecosystem around women's sports that hasn't matured yet. So there's room at all angles to get in. But certainly brands right now like Ally are doing, their deed to and MasterCard. There's too many of them to name right. Just but like they're doing a lot of good work right now to kind of move the space where it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. When I know we were talking briefly before, and you're so awesome. You came and started playing fantasy on our app. PHF fantasy hockey. I'd love to hear just kind of your experience and what maybe have you played fantasy for men's sports before?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
I fantasy is just another sport in addition to the sport that you're watching, and I always rejected fantasy football and my friends that were playing it for the longest time because I was like, I work so much in sports. If I get into this degree, I mean, like, God help me, like it'll be consume my entire life. But lo and behold, of course, I got into fantasy football with a bunch of people in this like dad chat that we have that's on Signal with other dads in the industry from different parts of the ecosystem. So that got me into it, and it gave me a different level of fandom of like knowing names from other people on other teams. And that, I think the main thing that you're seeing with Drive to Survive, with Full Swing, with Breaking Point, why are they all two-letter names? But like it's the storytelling and understanding who these people are as a human that allows you to connect your fandom to it. And so, just I've always loved watching Madison Parker and what she's do Packer and what she's doing with the Riveters and the content that she posts on Twitter and Instagram, and just kind of seeing her name and her performance in a different angle. Maybe I'm odd man out that saw her first digitally and then looking at her stats later and kind of making that kind of human connection and rooting for her when she plays, or but just, and then knowing some of the names where I can see that and it'll connect, like, oh, that's the person that looks, for that name. I don't like sometimes I have like, so I'm learning it, so it's helping me on that way. But excited to do more with the other sports. I just came in at that time for Premier Hockey Federation. They've got such a great group there. The La Force coming in with Montreal, that was a new franchise that came in, and they seem to be doing really great with their first season. I know we were just talking about new ones coming in, but like, yeah, so it's exciting time, and apps like this are important for fans to get to a different degree of fandom.
Mm.
And I think it's a great way for brands to activate on it and be a part of that water cooler talk, crash talk while watching, the players kind of do their thing. And it's right now, that's the ultimate focus that I'm seeing most of these organizations is their fan pipeline,
Mm.
and these are critical tools that you need. And this is helping me fan better. Like I knew them somewhat, but now I'm like it went from maybe 720 to like 1080. Give me another season, I start making some trades. I'll be at 4K as far as my clarity on like how this league works. But awesome stuff, and it's been needed. I was shocked that there was not more people building this for this. And when you think of something like this is such a great idea, why wasn't it done sooner? Those are the best kind of I just haven't you've done a really great job building what you have, Ashley. So thank you for
Cool.
providing opportunities for fans to get together and just play at a different degree. And once we get sports betting in there, I'm going to have a lot of fun. I know that might be a different degree at some point of a conversation, but at least on the side, we'll bet in our different leagues. But critical stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's true, like the hope of what I learned from playing men's fantasy was um I knew players' names that aren't my local market, and I could now recognize them in the news or anything that was coming out, right? I knew people I had no business knowing other than they were on my fantasy team. And that was our
Yeah.
hope. That's one of our hopes for the women's leagues. I mean, women's sports in this country, college level and national level, there's a lot of name recognition. And the pro, I think, sometimes loses out on name recognition. And so if they're players, and there are hundreds of players that aren't on the national team that are pro athletes in this country, and we want their names to be just as big. So I do think there's part of that, and the community part is just so fun. So yeah, I'm glad that you're on there, and thank you again for playing. And yeah, that feedback, I appreciate it. I think it's a unique bit. I mean, I guess just one of my questions that I love to ask on this podcast is what what do you love most about sports? What, and I know that changes maybe, but like right now, what do you love most about this industry?
So there's like a couple like ways of one. It's like moments as a child. Uh, not to go there, but to kind of go there. Like my parents are from Iran, so I was like the first generation. And so being able to like experience the embracement in a way where like, it was an amazing way for me to be equal with other people enjoying something. And I'll never forget. So my dad used to teach at Georgetown for med school and stuff like that. And we didn't have babysitters. I would just play on the court and wait while he was kind of doing it. So I got to play with like I never got to play on the same court as Allen Iverson, but like I got to watch him practice, which was huge. But we played with like Mutombo's nephews, and there was like Shaq's cousin, like people that were affiliated through the program. And they would always call me Tony Kukoc because I was the only foreign kid on the court. And of course, he was the Lithuanian player over at the Chicago Bulls, their iconic 72 and 10 season. So like that was the time of like, so that was really cool where I was just cemented into my DNA at that point of just like, expressing moments of joy and just seeing aspects of your life kind of play out. The second thing was like I took my son to a game this year, a football game, and just the ability and also this, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm signing up for fandom. Because there's going to be a lot of low points that come with this jersey. But like, it was so cool to watch him get so excited and connect and pass that torch of
Mm.
fandom over to be like, I'm an old school millennial. I think they call us a geriatric millennial, but like where I'm from, the city I'm from still matters to me.
Mm.
So it's like, we're lucky to work with some of the people, but like, so like, it's just like, even though we've sucked for years, it's like, that's our team because that's where we're from. And so, people are more player driven these days, but so it was cool to pass that off. And then work wise, like just looking at, so there's a couple of things that are going on in trends that we're seeing, right? Like social media ads on Twitter and Facebook and Snap and all their public, their stock market prices are going down because they're not getting ads. And the reason of that is Tim Cook and Apple, they updated iOS 15 and 16 when you have like, why is this data tracking me when I don't have it open? So people start turning off, and then they're losing access to some of the
Mm,
data they used to have. And so that's impacting ads. So like brands are not using social ads as much anymore, but connected TV, you can really target on what has the largest appointment based viewing experience, sports. And so that we're seeing brands of all different sizes, all different coming into sports now. You got Charlotte's Web that also works with Angel City before they start working with MLB. But like like CBD, like so all these different groups connecting to this sports product,
mm,
right? And viewership is going up. And it really it's for some people it's religion. You come together on Sundays and play and it's stronger. Some people they got a tattooed fake like logo a designer made on their body because they associate with it. And so like the brands are realizing how deep this connection is. And as a media math nerd, it's so cool to see like I know what Truist is because they did a sponsorship deal with the NFL and
mm,
it's BBT Bank. And so it's just why would I have to know that? But I know that, right? And that's what these sponsorships, I know what SoFi is, right? Like, why would I know what SoFi or crypto.com or FTX? Because they integrated with or Allegrand with the Gotham FC. So like I know these companies now because they do these
mm.
sponsorships, and that's why these brands are coming. So we're at this like ultimate moment where I think sports as a business is just going to transcend to a different level. Seeing the growth in women, seeing the growth in men's, seeing the we have even a drone league, right? Like
Yeah.
there's nuances in pickleball that's coming, and so there's we're just kind of scratching the surface here, but very excited for the space that we're in, and a place where we can all kind of come together. We have a lot of reasons that bring us all apart, and sports does a good job at kind of being a fun place. Sometimes not so safe. Looking at you, Philly, and your fans, but like other than that, it's a great experience to kind of bring people together.
Oh, love that. Love that so much. Well, where can folks connect with you, connect with Zoomph? Where can they find you offline?
Yeah, so just Zoomph and Zonozi. So ZOOMPH, ZONOZI. I'm sure you're subscribed and following and can see the notes on this podcast with Ashley, of course. If not, you should subscribe right now. It's great content. And but yeah, so the links will be there. Or just follow me on social and DM, and love to talk, love to meet new people anyway that other people are looking to learn nerd out and get more into data and analytics. I have like a list of like podcasts and things I listen to. So happy to send that out if this interests people that are into my little weird world of media math. But again, thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome, and working and talking with you. I'm just so excited for the future of She Plays.
Thank you so much. Thank you, truly. And excited for what you do. And again, the value add that you bring. I think it's already made an impact on the world of women's sports and will just continue to. So thank you and your team for what you're doing.
We got a great team. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in today, and we will be back next week.